Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Speak to Influence podcast. I'm Karen Sachs, and it is hot and steamy in York, Pennsylvania today. I hope you're staying cool wherever you are. Today, we are going to talk about something that is really relevant to the temperature, because when the temperature gets hot, people have a tendency to get hot under the collar. And I want to tell you today why great communicators don't usually win arguments. Hey, James, welcome. I'm glad you're joining me live today. We admire people who are quick with comebacks, and we applaud people who are winners. But when it comes to having arguments or difficult discussions, you're not a winner if the other person loses. And that's one of the things that great communicators are wonderful at. They understand that they need to influence people, not win. Winning's about proving you're right, whereas influencing is about creating understanding. And that's what you want to be doing as a great communicator. There are three powerful principles that have transformed the way that I communicate, the way I coach my clients, and the way that I handle difficult discussions. And those are the things that I want to share with you today. So first, remember that the goal is not to win. The goal is to influence. Have you ever won an argument, but you actually didn't win? Perhaps you were arguing with your spouse or your partner, and they finally said, fine, whatever. That's not winning. That's someone who's tired of fighting. Or maybe you've been talking to a coworker and they finally just walk away. That is not winning. Nobody wins and the problem is not solved. So what you want to do is to solve the problem and protect the relationship. Most people only focus on one. They either only want to solve the problem, and when they do that, there's a chance that not everybody's going to win. And likewise, other people want to protect the relationship, so they just back down. And that doesn't solve the problem either. So today, what we want to talk about is what to do when people are leaving the conversation frustrated. If they're leaving frustrated, that's telling me that there is not consensus in what is being discussed. And consensus is important. But let's think about the situation for a moment. Say you have an employee who missed a deadline. Do you want them to feel embarrassed, or do you want them to feel more accountable? Or if you and your partner have an argument because they missed some important date, do you want to prove that you have a better memory, or do you want to have a stronger relationship? Seeking to influence instead of win conversations affects every aspect of every relationship that you have, both personal and professional. So you want to make sure that the outcome determines the communication, not the emotions. And here's a sentence that I hope you'll remember. The purpose of communication isn't to defeat people, it is to develop people. The purpose of communication isn't to defeat people, it is to develop people. So stop trying to win, because when you're not focused on winning, people are more willing to listen to you. And when you're listening to each other, then you're going to have a positive outcome in your conversation. The second tip to remember is always ask another question. Many people believe that only one person can have the right answers or the best answers in a conversation. That's not true. Both people can bring something to the conversation. And one way that you're solving that is by asking another question, because questions lower resistance. Statements often raise it. If I say, Karen, you're wrong, do you think that's going to get something? What happens? The other person's brain automatically starts defending themselves. But if you say something in a question like, can you help me understand why you arrived at that conclusion? Can you help me understand why you arrived at that conclusion? Now we're having a conversation. Now I'm not just talking, I'm engaging you. So, one of my favorite coaching techniques is what I call the one more question rule. Before you offer your opinion, ask one more question. So, instead of saying things like, that's a terrible idea, ask a question like, what advantages are there do you see that I think I might be missing here? Or instead of saying, you're misunderstanding me, say, what part of that am I not being clear about? Or perhaps instead of saying, that won't work, ask, well, what challenges do you think we'll face? Note that we'll face, not that you will face. What problems do you think that we will experience if we do that approach? It's never a bad question. So notice what changes. When you ask people questions, they become engaged. They stay engaged in the conversation. So instead of defending themselves, they start considering new options, and that is influence. That's what great communicators do. They influence. So ask questions that gets people to stop defending themselves and start considering new ideas. Why? Because people trust communicators who seek understanding before seeking agreement. There's an old saying that people don't care how much you know, it's how much you care. I think there's another version to that, and that is that people don't accept your ideas until you believe that that you respect theirs. People don't accept your ideas until they believe that you respect their ideas. That is where influence begins. And the third thing to remember for today is protect the relationship while you're solving the problem. Conflict is inevitable. We're always going to have disagreements with other human beings. It's just how human beings are wired. But while conflict is inevitable, disrespect is optional. So you want to separate the situation or the problem from the individual, because when emotions rise, we tend to attack character instead of behavior. And one of the things that we do when we attack character is we use words like always. You always do this to me. You never listen to me. Those types of comments create shame, and shame makes people shut down. Instead, focus on the observable behavior. I noticed the report wasn't submitted. The meeting started without everyone having all the information that they needed. I felt confused after our conversation. Phrases like that slow down the discussion to avoid defense. So, for example, silence. Silence is another powerful tool in protecting the relationship. 5-second rule. Before you give your opinion, give it a 5-second pause to calm your emotions and to let both of you think about what you're going to say next. Just 5 seconds. People think of silence as calmness, and they interpret calmness as confidence. Fast reactions often communicate insecurity, and that's not something that you want to do. I tell clients this all the time. Your emotional control is part of your communication. If you are so excited that you forget the key point, then people have a tendency to question how control you are of your emotions. People don't just evaluate their words, they evaluate the entire experience they're having with you. And that experience includes your words, your voice, your nonverbal communication, and how you handle pressure. So you want to focus on those things. And one of the ways to accomplish that is through silence. Just a quick pause to focus on your emotions. Can you stay respectful when someone disagrees with you? It's hard. However, if you can get curious when people criticize you and stay calm when emotions arise, that's influence. I have a client who told me once that she hated performance reviews. She felt that every difficult conversation turned into an argument. So we changed one habit. Instead of defending herself, she asked a question. She said, "That's helpful feedback. Tell me more." The 3 words, "tell me more." That's a great tool when you're having a difficult conversation. It's another way of asking a question. And asking questions can be very positive in helping people understand where you're coming from because you're respecting their opinion and listening to what they have to say. For this coming week, I challenge you to do 3 things. First of all, before you have a difficult conversation, ask yourself, what is the outcome that I want? Because the outcome that you want is not to tick off the other person. It's not to make them feel embarrassed or shameful. It's to solve a problem. So ask yourself, what outcome do I really want? And then focus on that during your entire conversation and keep your emotions under control by using that technique. Number 2, ask one more question. Find out what they're really thinking. Don't point fingers. Don't say things like, "that will never work." Ask questions like, "well, what potential issues could we have if we adopted that?" That's a question. And finally, before responding emotionally, pause for 5 seconds. Get your thoughts together, get your emotions under control. Those 3 habits can transform almost every difficult conversation you're ever going to have. You're not going to win every argument, but you'll earn something much more valuable, and that is respect and trust and influence and stronger relationships, whether they're personal relationships or professional relationships. The way that you handle difficult discussions or arguments can definitely influence the future of those relationships as well as the productive outcome of any problem that you're having. So focus on pausing, focus on asking questions, focus on remembering what is the outcome that you want to have, and focus on protecting your relationships because that is what great communicators do to create influence, not necessarily winning an argument. I hope this quick communication spotlight has been helpful for you today. If you have questions, you're always welcome to messenger me. I encourage you to join our free school community that's skool.com and look for Act Like a Great Communicator. Thanks for joining me today. Join me again on Sunday at 7 p.m. And if you're part of our free school community, Act Like a Great Communicator, we have a free masterclass every Wednesday at 12 noon Eastern Daylight Time. I look forward to seeing you the next time. All the best.